このままでは見つかってしまう。
Hey everyone! So myself and Don got a chance to check out the upcoming Famicom Detective Club games.
I am not Don.
And yeah, this is Bloodworth. So I'm here with Bloodworth to talk about one of the two. So there are two. There's Famicom Detective Club, The Missing Heir, and Famicom Detective Club, The Girl Who Stands Behind. And that's the one I'm checking out. It is a prequel to The Missing Heir. They seem to have something to do with each other because it asked me if I had it checked for a save file.
Oh yeah.
When I launched it. But yeah, what these games are I guess they're remakes of super old Famicom games that I had never heard of actually. But they've been updated with kind of cool anime style art. It's like a visual novel mystery game. And you can interact by talking with people, by looking at your surroundings for clues and certain things, and by thinking. There's a button that says think.
Oh, that's interesting.
And yeah, and so
what happens? Yeah, when you hit that.
Well, it's kind of funny because sometimes it makes a lot of sense, like the order that you have to go into. So you'll say like call/engage to like get someone to walk over. Then you'll say talk, and you have the list of all the things that you can talk about. You know, like the mystery, the victim, you go down the list. You just ask everybody everything, kind of. And then sometimes you keep asking about like one of the options over and over again until you get what you need and they start repeating themselves or whatever. And then sometimes you'll get some kind of information out of the conversation where it feels like, okay, you would need to think about it for a second. So then you go down to think, and your character will be like, well, gee, I wonder if that means that this was going on. I need to find that out, you know? And then you talk about that, and it'll like open up a new branch. It's really engaging and fun when it's working logistically well. My only complaint about this game is sometimes it feels like you have to just kind of randomly click through everything and you're not sure what you need to do to make it advance.
Right.
Which I think is probably more likely a remnant of just being a super old school game. Everything else feels super modern about it besides that. Like sometimes it gets into like, it doesn't get into dream logic as far as like an adventure game would, where it's like you need to put the honey on the ground in this exact spot so the bees come and trip the gardener or whatever, you know, like it's not that, but it's like sometimes you're waiting for something to happen and you have to like check your surroundings,
kind of thing, yeah.
Right? But like to make it advance, you like check your surroundings in this other area, or sometimes it feels like I just had to like think 3 times and then it would go. And so that's a little frustrating sometimes, but I'm loving the story. It's really fascinating stuff. Pretty well written. And it's got me engaged. Like I'm only allowed to talk about the very beginning. So I'm being very careful not to really get too specific, but the brass tacks are you're a young man who starts to work at a detective agency, and you are tasked with trying to figure out a murder and looking into it, and it's cool. The plot moves forward, and then like you find out about certain things that like tie into other things, and I mean it's a classic mystery, but it's well written, and the pacing is really good when you're not stuck and wondering what you're supposed to click on to make it happen, which menu item, you know.
Does it feel like there's like multiple scenarios that can happen, or is it pretty much like find your way to like the one true path?
So far it seemed like that. There have been a couple of instances where it'll ask you, like, are you sure you want to show this person this piece of evidence? Like, are you sure about that? And a couple of times I've said yes, and a couple of times I've said no. One time I showed something to someone or like let them hold it, and I just had to go back and get it later when I needed it. So that was inconsequential, but there was another one that I can't talk about that seemed like it would have been a lot, like kind of a bad idea to show this person this thing, you know? So I didn't do that. So yeah, I'm not positive yet because I haven't quite finished it. But yeah, how many outcomes there might be. But yeah, it's mostly, I mostly find myself clicking through every option of dialogue just to like exhaust stuff. And you have a little notebook that your character keeps to keep really detailed notes. And the footage that you're seeing is all from chapter 1. So I didn't even capture past that. So don't worry about getting too spoiled. I can discuss up through a later chapter, but I just wanted to be really careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have a notebook that keeps track of a lot of your facts, and it comes in handy. And like sometimes there are fun little like quizzes where like someone will ask you like, well, who was the suspect in this part of the thing, you know? And then if you get it right, they're like, very good, that's right, you know. You're like talking to a detective or whatever. But yeah, so it takes place mostly at the school because you're a school-aged person, so you can go and like, you know, kind of interview students and teachers, and people kind of take more kindly to that.
And does it seem like it's very like clearly still set in Japan? Like they didn't go like wild with localization or anything? Yeah.
No. The localization is pretty good. A lot of like colloquialisms and kind of like figures of speech have come through. Like, and I haven't noticed any big like grammatical errors or anything like that. So it feels really solid. It's got full VO, but it's in Japanese only, at least currently.
Got it.
I looked for an option to change that and didn't see one. At least if it's there, I didn't notice it, but I don't think it's there. The story, it gets kind of creepy sometimes. Like the vibes are kind of fun. Like I'm really enjoying the kind of like, it sent a few chills down my spine sometimes when like revelations happen or you know, I'm like, oh, you know. But it's really fun. It's, you know, if you're into visual novels and like it's not exactly hidden object. Like you do have portions where you can use the look function to you know, and it'll say where or surroundings. And if you click surroundings, you just get a description of like, you know, sometimes you get a different angle, but usually you just
I
get
remember
like,
that. Like about those old school adventure games where like you just like it just sort of paints a much bigger picture and like all I see is like some thorns, but thanks.
Yeah. Then this is the same. It's like, so you'll be looking at like the schoolyard and you can say surroundings, and sometimes you'll get a different angle and it'll show the school gate or something, and other times it'll just say like the schoolyard seems very clean today, like whatever. But you can also say where, and then you'll get a little spyglass, and you can move that around. Big tip. Sometimes the spyglass will have a little tooltip, like word pop up while you're looking at stuff. And those are not the only places that you can click. And in more than one occasion, those aren't the only places that you have to click to move things forward. There's one part where I was examining the victim, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Because I clicked everywhere that the little word popped up, but then I had to click somewhere else to see a hidden clue. So you actually do have to do a little bit of thinking yourself, which is kind of nice. Like I didn't know that at first. So that's why I'm sharing that information, because it'll keep you from getting stuck like I was for a second. And I mean, when I say stuck, I mean maybe for like a minute or something. It wasn't egregious, but it's fun. It's a quaint game. I'm enjoying it so far. I look forward to finishing the story and seeing who done it and what and why done it.
And then comparing notes to Don, who once again is not me.
Not Don. Don's playing the other one, the Missing Heir, which I think is if I understand correctly, came out before this one, but this one's a prequel to that one. Unclear on that fully, but that's my understanding.
And these are both are going to come out on Switch on May 14th.
May 14th. Yeah, they come out at the same time. So, but if you get them both, it definitely asks for a save file, maybe just to get your name. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with Don about the differences and similarities, and maybe if they tie together more than I think they might. But yeah, it's a fun game, and I think if you like visual novels, detective stories, you will enjoy this one. If you don't like those, you probably won't like this game. Like, you know, it's a very specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's well done.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, and in ways, I'm like curious more about the story about like this game actually like you know, getting that attention and getting re-released the way it is. But very cool to see it happen.
For further coverage where we can talk more about these games, I think it would be fun to look into the history a little more, so I'm more knowledgeable about that. Because like, I'm curious. I want to see what these games used to look like. I want to see, because it seems like a big overhaul.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, because it's like characters are animated, they're drawn like not frame by frame like Pixar animation or anything, but they'll emote and react and move around and stuff, and it's good. Yeah, so
very cool.
Look
Thank
forward
you for
to
checking
it
that out. Yeah,
if it's your kind of thing, and if not, that's okay too.
自分の目の前に血染めの少女が立っている